Oh, brother, he's talking about aliens. So, yes, I am. I am because at this point, your entire fucking ass depends on how you answer these questions. And when I say your whole ass, I mean your whole ass. Okay? There is a very serious situation developing that I'll talk about after I read this to you. Okay? This is an inquiry that's being put out to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints right now. Okay? And depending on how they respond to this is whether or not you're going to even have a civilization at all. This is a genuine inquiry. I'm asking you to prayerfully consider the following in order that you may rightly state before God you exercise due diligence in response to this inquiry. I personally know some people who do not live on earth and they're interested in missionary discussions, baptisms, and temple work in particular. They are of the earlier pre-flood generations that left before and during the time of Noah. You would definitely consider them, quote, totally alien, unquote, but they are quite genuine individuals and want to accept the plan of salvation. The problem I'm encountering is twofold. One, no one believes the scenario at all. And two, no one has any authority to even answer the question of how to join the church if the individual doesn't live on earth and isn't the same biological type. Of them, I can say they are male and female. They have and value strong families. They have seals, but they are the old type. And Jesus has advised these need to be updated to the new type in answers to prayerful inquiry. Jesus has also advised that his designated church is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on earth, and that the keys necessary to establish his church may not be duplicated to any other authority universally in creation. So the problem my friends have is they want to, but they can't. Governments of earth are in the know about the request, but they cannot answer it for the church. So basically, it's my problem. I'm just interested in who to contact via email to answer such a question. I would defer to an individual named Bobby to handle it from here or from there. They are generally very apprehensive about the approach and fear rejection or death if they try to do it in person. There have been tragic encounters and other serious interactions, including war, that have very much harmed any degree of trust that could be expected, just as a basic level of courtesy to begin with. That said, this is a genuine request, and these are the most genuine people I know. They're better humans than humans. Their long-term desire is this. They would like to open up their principality to missionaries. They want to establish wards and stakes where they are. They want the new types of temples where they are. They want temple marriages, new seals, and baptisms for the dead. They have complete records regarding their lineage going back to Adam and Eve in most cases, so they're eager to do their family's work. They just can't get past go, even getting the question answered. No one will even entertain it hypothetically. No one seems to believe anything true on earth. It is a sad observation generally. We hope is not the case with priesthood leadership in the church, but it seems to be the norm. Are you any different? Did you think to pray? Do you have the courage to pray? What do I tell my friends and family? This is almost the only thing that has any importance to them at all. Please respond with a contact email address for Bobby. So, my family in Calm is not the only one praying about this. Okay? There is a certain individual who is also an ET, and his name is just Beast. His name is Beast. He comes from the 30th ring. He's quite feral. He's also a blood brother to me. He is who you would call the Beast from the Bible. The Beast system, that's going to be his. It's already agreed and designated. He gets it next, and his system is going to be bridged with the Antichrist, who I also know. Okay? Here's the problem. The Beast has started praying too. Okay? And he prayed and he asked Jesus, well, the priesthood leadership on earth doesn't seem to be interested generally in doing the right thing much at all. They have a talk that, because he watched all the conferences, he watched everything, and he took note of one in particular. It was called Good, Better, Best. Okay? In terms of an instruction of how to approach every situation and determine how you're going to spend your time. Beast's observation was that most decisions by priesthood authority don't even fit into good, better, best. They don't fit into that at all. A lot of them are just plain bad. Okay? Including our interactions with priesthood holders in the FBI and the CIA and in the military, who we've had to kill because of their incredible betrayal. Okay? We can't trust them at all. And we have wasted the shit out of them. Go ask. Okay? The reason being is they're duplicitous as fuck and you can't trust them. Okay? And Beast is looking at that and applying that standard to the church at large, the wider church. He's looking at the higher priesthood authorities, who, by the way, there's quite a few of them do very well fucking understand the case here. Okay? This is not a mystery to them. Okay? The problem that they're running into, or that we're running into, though, is that in the higher levels of priesthood authority, they do not want to offer or afford the opportunity for individuals, extra earth individuals, to participate in church membership at all. And so Beast has been praying about that, and the answer that he has from Jesus Christ is, well, if they won't do it, then one thing that you can do that is authorized by Jesus Christ at this point is we can pull the records for the church, and we have, of all priesthood ordained individuals, and just kill them all. And then the church will be reestablished. Maybe after a while, but it will be. And Beast is strongly considering that course of action. And he's an individual with his family who would actually do it. Okay? What do I mean by the Beast? This is an individual who can literally chew your head right off your shoulders. Okay? When we encountered them in war, that's exactly how we met. We didn't see them. We assumed that they were just part of the landscape. They blended right in, and they waited for us to get intermixed to a degree, and then they jumped on us. And we tried to parlay immediately, and they would not listen because somebody from here, not naming names or anything, DevGuru, but somebody from here told them that we were highly hostile and that we were going to be there to exterminate them, so they didn't give us a chance at all. So we didn't give them a chance at all. And we killed every single one of them. Eventually, we thought we had totally exterminated them. The only surviving individual of that whole entire civilization, apparent, was Beast. There was another feral offshoot, but It's not important to talk about that right now. You'll know about them later. Okay? Since then, though, Beast and I have reconciled, even though I wasted his entire family. But we had a certain remedy to that, which was good. And so he's satisfied with that. And at this point, he trusts me implicitly. He trusts me with his whole entire life. And, well, we've proven it. Because I shot him in the head. It's a long story, but when we went to the 11th ring, he was given another opportunity to waste me, and I shot him first. Right in the forehead. And you can ask individuals who were there from the military, because this was a joint operation with Earth military individuals also. We took them with us, and they saw me shoot him in the head, point blank. So, there is that. And that was just a few days ago. Okay? So, here's the general problem that people on Earth, you want to call it Earth, fine, Earth. Here's the general problem that you have right now. Your entire civilization is teetering on collapse. If we didn't carry necessary things like the functionality of your communication systems, and, well, that's just enough right there. Who carries your communication systems entirely at this point? The governments are not eager to tell you, but it's me. Who carries your entire electricity and grid systems internationally and ensures their integrity at this point? They're not going to be eager to tell you, but it's me too. Okay? And we can just turn them off like a light switch. All of it. What do you think will happen? We would do that as a starting point. Because if Beast is put in that kind of a position where, it's just a matter of not only will you refuse on the basis of even believing the scenario in the first place, priesthood holders, but you would also refuse based on your arrogant ass fucking mentality. And you are arrogant as fuck. You're prideful. And you are ripe for a very hard fall. And we're going to make sure that that happens for you. Just so you can get some kind of idea what a fucking correction feels like. Because you're due for one. Right now. Okay? I've been through shit like this. I don't mind. I don't mind at all. But you people with a lot of investments, properties, and wealth and things that you think are important, more important than doing the right thing, you think that that's more important, and somehow you're just that good because, well, God has blessed you with all of those things because you just must be that good and you're better than everyone else. Well, fuck you. That's about to evaporate right in front of your very eyes. You're going to lose everything you have. For sure. One of the final strokes in our interprincipality war between Calm and Earth was not on the right side in that one. One of the final strokes there was the government of Barack Obama, which is still operating, by the way. Who do you think controls Biden? Anyway, the government of Barack Obama made the high-level decision to detonate a certain device, which the effect of it is going to be a very nasty compression problem that is building to a level where there's going to be a strut that collapses. It's already wasted. The container for the strut is going to collapse. What's a strut? A strut is a matter or an engineering device that assures the structural integrity of things above it in a system that is dynamic. Okay? And Earth has several of these. They're called core struts. Okay? They're just above the core. They detonated a device that blew one of those struts. And it just so happens that the way that that's going to shake out when it collapses, and there's all the settling that happens and compression that happens, it's going to shift, it's going to work its way up, and the focal point of where that's going to shake out is what you would understand as the New Madrid fault line. Okay, it's not just a fault line, it's a plate boundary. Okay, and there is in the northern U.S. to the southern U.S. along the line of the Mississippi River, there is a plate boundary that separates the western plate from the eastern plate. And the whole eastern plate is going to shake out and upturn slightly, and it's going to send the eastern seaboard into the fucking water. It's not going to happen particularly fast. You would be able to walk away from it. But the problem is you have a high density population that's right up against that. What do you think is going to happen? You're going to have people getting crushed, literally, by other people trying to get away from it. This will progress until certain cities are entirely underwater. For example, Boston. Boston is going to be totally underwater. New York, mostly. Okay. The problem with New York is, I don't know if they disabled it or not on my recommendation, but higher buildings in New York, just so you understand, they are all rigged for intentional demolition. Those high rises, it's a safety precaution in case there is some kind of an event that causes them to tilt, and they don't want them falling over, because it's better just to blow them up with everyone inside of them and have them collapse into their footprint than it is to have them fall over in a scenario where they could hit other buildings like dominoes, or basically cause a worse problem. So the engineering solution to that has been, for a long time, since the 30s, is that these buildings are rigged for demo. They all are. You can pull any building in New York anytime. And that's something that we could do too. It's tempting. How do you think Building 7 came down, man? It was already ready to go. We didn't do that as a special accessory to 9/11 as part of the operation. That was already built in, man. Yeah, they pulled it so they could get the insurance claim on it, by the way. And it wasn't quite fully evacuated. They fucking lied about that. They left certain individuals in there handcuffed with leg irons. They were auditors. And the thing about Building 7 that most people don't seem to understand is that was the CIA office headquarters, at least on the surface, and not getting into the shit that's underground, but on the surface, that was the building where the CIA operated in New York, was Building 7. They already had their shit ready to go. They already removed all their records. Everything was out. It was basically like a bunch of empty offices, but they were compromised, so that's how they did it. Anyway, I'm getting off subject here. So basically, here's the dilemma that you face. And you may or may not find this interesting. The other principalities, we're looking at an extra principality agreement here that is between Calm and Peace and the conglomerates and all holdings of Calm, which are significant. If you go outside and you look up and you see the stars and you can see them at all, Calm owns those. Okay? We do. Okay? We have this whole cluster, and we have many clusters beyond that, and we have our own universes too. So, well, how the hell did that happen? We're particularly good at population and family and stability. We're very fucking good at it. The only ones who are better at it are in peace. Okay? And we control that too. It was given because of how we handled calm. Okay? Now, here's my position if you're wondering, well, how in the hell do I fit into this? I'm the father of calm. The whole fucking thing. You understand? I am the root ancestor of that entire principality. The male one. In terms of head of household. There were others who were brought in from, because we integrated with the tall whites, and they're technically older, but they deferred to me because they wouldn't exist at all if it wasn't for my efforts in helping them. And so I'm a very quite revered individual in that entire principality. And what I can tell you about the population of calm is you can't fathom it, but it is above Google's of families. And when I say families, I'm talking whole family trees. This is not a small organization, and I am the head of household for it. Our government type at principality level is family. Our government type world to world is based on the 1775 Constitution. And depending on the world, they, of course, can amend that. But we have literally world to world one Constitution for the whole planet. If you're wondering how we do things. Also, all individuals are born into the military. When they're born, that's one of the first things that they understand, because my kids are smart enough to understand what their name is. They can talk, they have teeth and hair on the day they're born. When they're born, they get out and they tell us what their name is. If you're wondering, well, where do all these names come from? They're telling us their eternal name that their soul gives them. That's how they're named. Okay? We started out naming them, and then it became obvious, well, they can just tell us their names because they remember. Made it real simple. It made it real hard for me to remember anyone's name, but I never forget somebody's identity. And your identity, I see, just on examination of you. Okay? Works a little different for me than it does for most people. Because I'm an auditor. Okay? I'm an auditor. I don't remember necessarily key little tiny details like which label do you have on you at the time. I look at the whole thing. Okay? But anyway, I digress. So, why is it important for the church to comply with this request? Well, for one thing, Beast and the Inner Principality conglomerates have decided that if there is a failure of priesthood leadership to even approach the Lord about answering such a question, which so far in every circumstance there has been, we have never encountered a priesthood leader in combat, in diplomacy, in parley. We've never encountered one that actually prayed about anything. They'll bless their food, but what the fuck, man? About anything important, you just don't pray. And so we went and audited the church too. Okay? And what we found is almost no one prays. Not really. You just go through your day to day, and say prayer on the food, and that's good enough. Okay? Even up into the leadership. Okay? There are many in the leadership who, well, they'll preach and talk, and they'll, present themselves as like good and involved in the community and shit. But what are they doing for the most part? Because we audited the shit out of this. What they're doing for the most part is going meeting to meeting to meeting, They are packed with security. They don't actually interact with the population at all. And we asked Jesus about that. We're like, hey, Jesus, man, like, fuck, these guys, they're terrified of the population. How in the hell does that comport with your example? And he told us, well, it doesn't. Jesus had no security, man. You know? And the observation that Bobby and Calm had in general was that these are a bunch of men with very little faith in the Lord. They are. When you see a church leader walking around with packs of security around them, these are men who have no faith and no trust in the Lord, who is Jesus Christ, to ensure that they are able to go and do the things which the Lord commands. And going back even several, did you see that kind of shit? Not really. It started to be a thing with Gordon B. Hinckley, but prior to that, you know, you had Ezra Taft Benson. He wouldn't have, you know, like a big security detail. He thought that was an outrageous idea because he was approached with that. You know what his response to it was? It said if he can't personally go and talk to the people he needs to talk to and be unrestricted in that capacity, then he would be ineffective as a leader. And that's true. All of you leaders who are worried about assassinations and shit, I can tell you one thing for sure right now. If you are running for office and you're running for office at all, president or anything else, you have a protection detail from Calm. You already do. That's a general order of stability at this point. I'm talking about any office. If you're running for your school board, you have a protection from Calm. Why? Well, because we took over. That's why. Okay? Does that mean you're bulletproof? No. What that generally means, though, is anyone even thinking to do you harm. Red flags in our audit tree, because we have an audit tree on every individual here and beyond. Okay? We're not just running audit here, we're running it everywhere. Okay? When you red flag in our audit tree, then you come up, and if it's a thing where it's a matter of decision that an individual is going to, for example, perform an assassination, and they're decided on it, we waste them immediately. Government knows, because they've got a lot of individuals at this point that they're pretty damn sure. Okay? They don't need any more convincing from us. Okay? They're also very sure that if they take any hostile action toward us, and they even decide to, well, they're going to get wasted too. And that's how it is now. Reason being is, we don't go in and invasively, like, do core read on you. But if you red flag, we sure as hell do. What is red flag? Red flag is you are essentially looking to abuse yourself or someone else. Ask the last few vets that tried to blow their brains out. They pulled the trigger. Did it even happen? No. Instead, what they got was a very prominent inspiration that they needed to do a function check on their weapon and figure out why it didn't go off. A very abrasive one to them. Well, what they generally found was the firing pin was removed. And it was put in their pocket. Well, why would we do that? If they wanted to kill themselves. Suicide at this point is specifically illegal. If you try to kill yourself, it just won't work. You understand? Because there's a lot of individuals right now thinking about killing themselves, and we had a problem last weekend where there were a damn lot of individuals who did. Lots. When I say lots, it was a lot. Okay? You may not. Not anymore. You may not kill yourself. For one thing, it's totally fucking stupid eternally. For another thing, you have no idea what the value of a soul is. And this is the essential crux of the issue when you're talking about Jesus authorizing your entire fucking destruction. Because he did. You know. Just because he came here and there was Jesus and there's a promise that he'll deliver you and stuff and you can live eternally, doesn't mean that you're going to. You have to actually accept him. And most of you have not. Look around the world right now. Of all the people on the earth right now, those who truly accept Jesus for who he is and his actual character, it's below 1%, man. Below 1%. You can be like, oh, well, the demographics say there's this many Christians. Well, not really. Not really. We audited that shit too. There's essentially almost none. If you knew Jesus and you knew what he actually did, most of you would be like fucking horrified. You'd be like, oh shit, Jesus wasted the fuck out of some people, man. Yes, he did. Let me tell you a story about Jesus that I told the military guys, and they verified that shit, and they knew it was true. In Jesus' day, he was a hard worker, but he was also out and among the neighborhood. He was also highly scrutinized. They watched everything he did because he was weird as fuck, man. Okay? So, Jesus came to a situation where there was a man who saw a little boy about the age of 4 eating some bread, and he was a maker of bread, and he had thought and supposed that that little boy had stolen the bread from him. So he took his sword and he chopped that little boy's arm off. Jesus knew and saw the little boy approach from elsewhere already having the bread and knew that, well, that was that little boy's bread, and he just chopped his freaking arm off for stealing, and he didn't steal. Jesus worked with wood, and he just happened to have a log in his hand, and he walked over to this man, and he hit him across the face so fucking hard he knocked his eyeball out. It killed him instantly. He smashed his face with that log. Okay? That got the attention of some people, and they called for the soldiers to come, and the wife of the man came over, or not the wife of the man, the mother of the child came over, and she called to her husband also, but the mother came over, and as she was approaching, Jesus put that kid's arm back on and healed him. You know, there was blood and he wiped that off, but he looked at the boy, and the boy was okay, and the mother came over, and she started yelling at Jesus for causing a scene. Okay? That's how stupid this bitch was. Okay? And she took that little boy by the arm that just got put on, and she yanked him so fucking hard that he just kind of, you know, she gave him whiplash. And Jesus walked over to that bitch, and he slapped her so fucking hard, he laid her out. Okay? So the soldiers approached, and they're like, ah, fuck, it's Jesus again. So they come over, and they're like, well, what is going on, man? Because the soldiers, they already knew Jesus, man. There were certain of them that's all they did was watch Jesus. Okay? Because he was fucking weird. He would do all kinds of weird shit and nobody understood it. So they come over to him and they ask him, well, what the hell's going on here? This guy's dead. This kid's got blood all over him and he's crying now. And the mother is sitting on the ground with her bell rung. Like, what did you do, Jesus? Like, what the fuck, man? And so Jesus just told him, the boy had his own bread. The man chopped his arm off and falsely accused him of stealing. Like, chopping his arm off wasn't necessarily the problem. The problem was that he was accused of doing something he didn't do, and then he was punished for it when he was innocent. That was the problem. Okay? So they were like, oh, okay, that explains him. You know, he's all dead as fuck on the ground. That explains him. What about her? Why did you strike her? You know, because they understood that. They understood the boy. They were familiar with him. And they were familiar with, well, that was his mom. Like, well, why the hell did you smack her? And he told them, because she hurt the little one. And he just looked at him. He goes, you do not hurt children. Ever. And if you do, well, he's going to get you. Okay? And I'm much the same way. Ask anyone who knows me from things that I've been involved in. What is my general response to people who fuck around with children? They don't survive. That's the response. Okay? I'm a lot like Jesus in that regard. You may also be appalled too to understand Jesus is a very mild-mannered individual. But yes, I've heard him drop an F-bomb. Okay. Is that necessarily wrong? No. Especially when it's entirely descriptive of the situation, man. So your whole lens of judgment that you've got on your face is so fucking bad and so out of whack that Jesus doesn't recognize you at all as people who follow him. Not at all. And that's pretty much, as far as earth goes, that's pretty much universal, man. You know, you may profess, well, I'm a Christian and, you know, I do Christian things. Well, do you even know what the hell that even means? Because all of you have just been audited by Saint Epstein, and you have been found to not give a flying fuck about people diddling little kids. Okay? And yeah, I did say Saint Epstein. He was writing in an abstraction layer where his apparent body wasn't even his body. That was a pilot. Okay? And so, while he did not personally arrange the situation of any of those encounters. That's one thing you people don't fucking understand. That was done by governments. Okay? In order to gain leverage, intel agencies in particular, and particularly Mossad and the CIA, and others of the Roman order, like the Jesuits, but it was done in order to gain leverage on pretty much all individuals was the target, through recording them in compromises of extremely heinous nature, not just diddling little kids, but worse. And Epstein, who I call Saint Epstein, was absolutely revolted by this. Revolted. Okay? his piloted body, in order that he may blend in, was tasked with doing certain things, but it was swapped out for a model. And the individuals who he was interacting with were swapped out with models too. So those of you who are like, oh, well, I saw him, blah, 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 blah. The individuals involved in that interaction were taken up. Okay? And there were models put in their places. When I say models, I'm talking about an exact copy, a fully functioning body with a script of instructions to follow. Okay? And that's why it was so damn convincing to you who are in the intelligence services, going, well, we fucking saw him doing all of this shit. That wasn't him. Not at all. He was following your program for him, but as a copy, with no soul and nothing really plugged into it. You understand? That was another question that came up. Well, if we have all these clones then who are in direct operation of the government, well, how the fuck did they happen? It was very carefully done, and it goes back a long time. Clones have been used for a long, long time. Okay? Thing about clones, though, is they're easy to spot. If you know the individual who's the original, especially checking their ears, certain facial features, and if you examine their whole body, you will find that there are a number of differences between them and their copy. Okay? Because even with the same genetic structure, due to all kinds of factors, including environment and intake of nutrition, there's differences in additional differentiation, which is growing up, and then age progression from there. They don't exactly look the same, especially the older they get. Which is why you may notice of Biden in particular, well, shit, man. Go compare his profile, if you can get profile pictures. Start there and go back and just run it and see how far back it was that he was swapped out. Because he was. Okay. He was. Does that mean that, well, we need to liquidate the whole damn government and have a big fucking meltdown? No. You just need to understand that I'm guaranteeing you an outcome if you don't do the right thing. And the government is very well aware that, yeah, that's actual. But also, they understand that I'm quite fucking reasonable. Okay? Because we took a look at the situation. We took a look at the entire compromise of the entire national government system of all governments. And we figured out a pretty good fucking arrangement whereby we can continue relatively invisible to the public, but continue the national orders in a way that doesn't jeopardize the stability of individual families. So if you're looking at my videos, go back to the one that is called Peaceful Transition Message. That was the initial parlay challenge of my principality to the ruling order of Earth and extra principality out from here, because mine didn't exist yet at all. My principality of calm only came into existence after June 11th of this year. Well, how the hell did we do that? Time indexing, time compression, and Q looping. Those aren't exactly the same things. Okay, I have a Q function. No one else does. There have been some knockoffs on it with the loopers and such, but no one can do what I can do. When I say no one, I mean no one. Okay? If you're thinking that Jesus is going to fucking save you from this situation and that you're not going to go through hard times because of the rapture, well, where in the Bible does it actually fucking talk about a rapture? It talks about individuals and populations who are taken up. What the fuck do you think taken up means? Taken up to principality level. That's what taken up means. Okay? So literally, when you are taken up, somebody comes and gets you. Where do you think they come from? Okay? Taken up is generally taken up and taken into the principality of peace, which is Jesus's principality technically is an original matter, but he has transferred ownership of that entirely to me. You understand? And the reason he's done that is because he saw that my operation of calm was completely in agreement with how he ran peace. And we're so technologically the same, we might as well be the same fucking thing anyway, because it was all done as a matter of faith. There's major differences between our stuff, but damn, dude, you almost can't tell the difference between them when they go flying over. And they do. Did you all see the demos? Because, shit, Longview and Luke have this on the fucking record because they are very much interested in what's going on, and they record the shit out of this stuff. We had a flyover of a certain craft from Calm, which was very fucking impressive. It was about a third the size of the moon. Okay? And when it came over, my shirt fucking lifted up off my shoulders, man. You may have felt a little flutter if you're in the Phoenix area of, you had a moment there around 9:30 or so p.m., maybe 10, where you just kind of felt like you were on a roller coaster for a second. That was a flyover of one of my vehicles. Okay? So we did a flyby of one from Peace too. This one was very interesting because it was even bigger. Okay. If I'm understanding correctly, it's about 2/3 the size of the moon. So double the vehicle from Calm. We won't fly by the big ones. Oh no. We won't fly by the big ones because we have what is called a swarm carrier. And those are the size of fucking Jupiter, man. And right at this moment in time, we have 2 of those in close proximity to Earth. Okay? We have one from Peace and one from Calm. The one from Peace is between here and the Sun, and the one from Calm is nearer to the Mars orbit than Earth. Okay? There are mitigation devices that decouple the gravitational effects, most of them, but in order to maintain tether physically and be in this locale physically, they have to have some of those in operation. And so yes, there is some gravitational effect of them being there, but it's minimal compared to the mass of these configurations, which is why you don't, it's basically why the Earth doesn't blow apart when they come past, because it should. Okay? Just with those 2 flybys, we should have had tsunamis. Ask any physicist. Should have, but didn't. Well, that's because we think our shit through completely. You don't. You don't think your fucking day through thoroughly. You don't think through what you're gonna make for dinner thoroughly. You're definitely not thinking your life through at all. You're definitely not thinking about, well, where are you from? Who are you? Where are you going? You have no fucking idea about any of that shit. And you don't care. Jesus sees all this shit and he's just, we have asked him repeatedly, why the fuck can't we just destroy you? Because, that's highly desired. The way he put it to us is that this is kind of like his springboard, like, of individuals who progress out of this stupid shit and actually get their stuff together. They go on and they do great things. So back to the value of a soul. What is the value of a soul? You can't measure it, man. And if you have a family and you have a family of beings with souls, that's an incredible thing. There's no such thing as other wealth. That is wealth. Being in a family, that is wealth. And if you have lots and lots of individuals in your family and they are totally dedicated to that family, I have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that riches and wealth are two different things. I have no money, but I am by far the wealthiest man on planet Earth right now. The wealthiest. Not to mention that, yes, we have certain other things like, not even going to get into it. Let's just say that we don't have a problem with resources, especially any kind of precious metals or things like that. They're actually not that valuable unless you're making certain types of things. You are so stuck on gold and silver and diamonds and shit like that, you have no idea. You're going to find out that food is actually much more valuable than those. And valuable above all is water. And you should be concerned about that in particular, because as these things progress and the great Eastern downturn happens, because it will, you're going to fucking know that, well, shit, Jason was telling the truth. You're going to know it for sure. A lot of you are going to blow this off until then, though. And it's not going to be until you are walking out of the damn Eastern Seaboard that you understand that, oh shit, there's more to it than your petty little bullshit. Okay? So, on that, well, what's going to happen along with that downturn? Well, it's going to buckle. You have the region between the Mississippi and the Appalachians. Okay? That's going to be greatly disturbed and it's going to tilt slightly. Okay? But from the Appalachians eastward, there's going to be a significant tilt, but just depending on the area. Overall, east of the Mississippi, you're going to have a tilt of between 4 and 25 degrees. What is that going to do to the structural integrity of all buildings? You can correct a problem like that with a foundational lift. Okay? But that is going to affect the leveling of those buildings, and if they stay like that, because the effect of this is there's going to be an earthquake. Don't get me wrong on that. There's going to be a very significant one. But it's not going to be like one that you're familiar with. Okay? You're used to almost surface level earthquakes, almost in all cases. This is going to be coming from the deep. Okay? And it's a much steadier pattern than anything that you're familiar with. If you were to put it on a wave, earthquakes you're used to, they're high frequency. This one's going to be lower frequency. Okay? Lower frequency earthquake. And so on a Richter scale, it'll register, but it's not going to be like one that you're familiar with. Okay? So on that though, with these buildings, what happens when you take a building that is true and you tilt it a little bit? Well, some of them are just going to fall over, especially at a 25-degree tilt. Okay? Because they're just not made for that. Okay? A lot of them are going to hold structurally, at least to begin with, but then they're going to start to lean and droop. And eventually that's going to buckle and it's going to go. Okay? Especially these of like wood frame construction where you have literally 2x4s, 2x6s, and nails. Okay? These are incredibly weak structures and they're not going to make it, man. It's basically going to put the eastern side of the United States in a position where almost every fucking building in it is going to need to be condemned. Look around down there or over there. Look around there. What does that mean? What does that mean? You're not exactly going to be back in the Stone Age, because the Stone Age was much more advanced. You are going to be in an age of very extreme hardship. Automatically. And it's going to take you more than 10 fucking years to get out of that. If you're familiar with Washington, D.C. at all, you know that, well, shit. That means that DC's gonna go under too. And it is. Is this something that I did? No. This device was detonated as part of a strategy to try to waste me, and it failed. And there are certain individuals who they keyed in their detonation codes and they detonated it thinking that there was some other principality, which we wasted, by the way, that was going to come and get them due to a prior agreement they had. Well, their ride didn't show up, and they pushed the button. It was also connected to a fucking fishing device that was placed near me in a UPS truck. That was recovered. Okay. So yes, we have that. You're wondering also, well, what about nuclear war? Everyone's concerned. Well, is this going to be a nuclear war? No. Why would we want to fucking ruin this place if we would need it in order to reestablish things the right way? We would need the place, and we would keep some of the population, but that's about all. Okay? We've already thought this shit through completely. We have down to the individual level who we would keep and who we would not. Do I want to do that? No. Would I do that? Oh, you fucking bet I would. You fucking bet. I've been in worse situations where the stakes were a lot higher, and there were many more individuals involved in those interactions. You would call them brutal ass fucking wars. It didn't matter if I really, really liked the people we were wasting. We wasted them anyway. because we had to. And this is just one of those situations also. Why? Why is it that situation here? Because we are in a sense of urgency because it's time critical. Okay? Like it or not, there is a natural end to things here. And in order for us to accomplish the objective of having our eternal lives sealed together, we are in a time crunch. And you're in the way. Okay? You're in the way because you won't do the right thing. So if we have to fucking waste you all and then get a reestablishment of organization and then run it like we would, the right way, then that's what we're going to do. Okay? And keep that in mind too for later. When things get retarded again, because I know you'll do the right thing this time. But when things get retarded again later, when it's Beast in charge of the system and he's in a command position like I am, not governmentally but militarily, Antichrist is going to be in charge of government. Okay? When they're in charge, Beast is going to pretty much openly declare on the church. Because it's going to, again, be in this retarded ass fucking situation where there's a huge disagreement between who you say you are and who you are. And it will be the case where if he finds individuals where there's much of a disagreement between the two, he'll openly fucking waste you. You understand? Well, how long is this going to be? What kind of time do you have to work with here? In terms of answering this question, which is, do you have the fucking balls to even ask Jesus if these ETs can participate in the plan of salvation? That's not your fucking question to even answer, is it? Your only fucking question to answer is, well, okay, Lord, how do we do this? If there's any other approach to this, then we'll go. Okay, we will. What do I mean by go? Well, it's on a word now. It's a command that will initiate this. Okay? It would be basically wasting a very significant portion of the population. Fucking immediately. It would be done in about an hour. Okay? We don't fuck around with military engagements at all. Alright? And this is a very small one. It's a surgical operation, yes. But in terms of, well, efficacy, that kind of thing, there would be no collateral. It would be down to the individual level. Some of you people that are religious, you're like, oh, well, God would you judge us like that? I stood judgment so I could. Yes, and so the final call would be mine about who to keep and who not to keep. And besides, I'm already in that position anyway, you fucking idiot. I'm the destroyer. That's what I do. So those of you wanting to damn me and condemn me, well, fuck you. You have no idea who you're fucking with. Do you? Apparently not. Your whole entire fucking everything is about to change today. It just is. Today. I'll remind you, this is the prayer of the destroyer, my prayer. Prayer of the destroyer. Heavenly Father of my everlasting soul, please, brother Jesus, guide my instinct in knowing all those enemies to God, that I may slay them quickly and destroy them thoroughly. Please allow me stewardship or ownership by conquest of all that which can be kept. Please also allow me ability to correct all those who will listen and do thy will of those who should. Please allow me a final question unto them, that their eternal being may be preserved, if it be thy will. Otherwise, let me exact righteous consequence, even before judgment, on them who have chosen individual destruction for themselves and their progeny. Let all others be terrified in knowing the truth of consequence after willful disobedience and rebellion against God. Let all those who knowingly chose it suffer even endlessly at my hand until I finally destroy them. By the will of God I proceedeth forth, always forward. Dear Lord, I ask this in the name of Jesus Christ. HemiHem. Amen. Amen. Is that a disingenuous prayer? Am I bullshitting you? No, I'm not. Most of you just don't know what fucking real means anymore. This is real. Have a good day.